22 minutes after 9 a.m. and certainly time for us to get into our moments in current affairs. Kicking it off today, Limpopo man Corey Pretorius, Limpopo man Corey Pretorius was arrested after a video of him severely assaulting and pointing a firearm at a 16-year-old Kupano Makweng went viral. He was denied bail by the Groblersdal Magistrates Court yesterday. The court, citing massive protests happening in the town, noted that Pretorius' safety would not be guaranteed if he was released. Previously, the court had heard that Pretorius' wife had opened cases of intimidation as several people were phoning her and threatening, while others were visiting her place of residence. The matter was postponed to the 6th of September, while Pretorius remains in custody. In his bail application, Pretorius begged the Groblersdal Magistrates Court to release him on bail, insisting that he has been assaulted in custody. I respectfully submit that if I released on bail, my release would not induce a sense of shock or outrage and will not disturb the public order or undermine public peace or security. I further submit that my safety will not be jeopardized by my release on bail, Pretorius told the High Court through his legal representative, Advocate J.J. Fenter. Last week, Limpopo spokesperson for the National Prosecution Authority, Mashudu Malabi-Zangi, said the incident took place at a shop in Groblersdal Game Shopping Center on June 15. Pretorius was arrested the following day. Malabi-Zangi previously said Pretorius was appearing in the Groblersdal Magistrates Court facing charges of assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm on the teenager and point firearm. It's alleged that the complainant and his cousin were at Fat Cake City shop when the victim asked her to use the same seasoning as the accused, who is Pretorius. He became furious and started assaulting the minor boy, Kopano, by pushing him outside the store. He continued assaulting the boy while pointing at him with a firearm until the accused eventually left the complainant lying on the ground. A video of the incident was captured and posted on social media. The teenager was later taken to Groblersdal Hospital where he got medical attention and was discharged. Kopana's family has told Pretoria News that they are not sure if the teenager will ever recover from the ordeal and assault. The family have also accused Pretorius' family of displaying a no-care attitude towards their beaten son, saying they had made no effort to apologize. Pretorius, who is from Marble Hall, about 30 kilometers away from the scene of the incident, was arrested at his home last week after the viral video went on social media, showed him viciously kicking and stomping a helpless Kupano with a gun in his hand. Why? Just why? Is there still a need to be behaving like that? Has there ever been a need to be behaving like that? I would say no, but others may say differently. That's where we'll disagree. Experts have warned consumers to prepare for another steep fuel price increase next week. The AA has warned that consumers could expect an increase of about R2 for the prices of petrol and diesel. Leighton Beard, the AA spokesperson, said unaudited fuel price data from the Central Energy Fund showed a possible increase from R1.80 of petrol price increase and an increase of R1.60 in the price of diesel. The important thing to remember is that the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy jointly announced that the general fuel levy was reduced by R1.50 from March to June. For July, the general levy will decrease by just 75%. Or 75 cents, In effect, the 75 cents that is being added back to the general fuel levy will push the fuel price to over R2, and this will be very worrying for consumers. Beard added that this would have a major impact on the economy. When the fuel price goes up, it affects every individual in the country, and we have to be concerned about this. Fuel has a knock-on effect, and we can expect that prices of goods and everything else to rise. Sfiso Shangase, spokesperson for the South African National Taxi Association, or SANTACO for short, in KwaZulu-Natal, said the industry was faced with a tough time. And so is the rest of the country. It really is hard days. While the eyes of South Africans have been and are firmly fixed on the developing scandal dubbed Dollar Gate, about the burglary that took place at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phala farm in Limpopo and its concealment. Two major developments took place almost at the same time. An announcement was made that the World Bank has approved a loan to the tune of 7.6 billion rand, or $480 million, for South Africa's COVID-19 emergency response project. The report continues to state that the loan comes following a request by the government of South Africa for assistance in providing vaccine procurement contracts. Specifically, this project will retroactively finance the procurement of 47 million COVID-19 doses by the Go SA. A few days later, like a bolt from the sky, Minister of Health Dr. Joe Phaahla announced that all restrictions, including the wearing of masks in public and numbers for indoor imposed as part of the fight against COVID-19, were lifted. The minister said this comes as the country experiences low COVID-19 infections and related deaths. Hence, the government decided to end the restrictions while still urging people to take care of themselves by adhering to hygiene measures like the washing of hands. Curiously, there was not even a whisper about the vaccination, let alone the mandatory. Without reading too much into these developments, it is clear that the loan is meant for vaccination while our country has lifted all government-related restrictions. Otherwise, what is the real motive? This question should be viewed against the backdrop that is the second loan in the matter of months that the IMF ostensibly to bolster the fight against COVID-19. On the other hand, a suspicious and sinister move by some major companies is being made. Employers are overzealously enforcing their mandatory vaccination policies as part of their efforts to promote safety in the workplace. Oh man, this step is weird and worrying, especially viewed against the backdrop of the government having lifted all restrictions related to COVID-19. Unless employers know something ordinary, South Africans are not aware of. What about the statement that the latest unexplained IMF loan is meant for the fight against COVID-19? Where's the catch? The lifting of all these restrictions and the recent World Bank loan to mitigate against the effect of COVID-19 seems to be strange bedfellows. Odd, don't you think? We'll leave it at that for now. 29 minutes after 9. Convening at its Midrand headquarters on Wednesday, the Pan-African Parliament finally elected its president. A year late, but not before the chairperson of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mahamat, gave the MPs a stern lecture. Sources said Zimbabwean Senator and Chief Fortunate Charumbira was elected unopposed behind closed doors after South Sudan withdrew its candidate. MP and former child soldier Albino Abugu, evidently at the behest of AU Commission Musa Faki Mahamat, presided over the elections. Faki had warned that the Pan-African Parliament not to repeat the debacle of a year ago when the elections plunged into chaos and violence and were abandoned. Last year, like this year, Charumbira was Southern Africa's candidate. Delegates before the opening ceremony of the Pan-African Parliament Ordinary held in Midrand, Johannesburg on the 28th of June. And in 2021, he was set to run against the candidate from Mali representing West Africa, but Southern African MPs forcibly prevented the election from going ahead. They said that on principle, the regional rotation, West Africa should not field a candidate as it had previously held the presidency. And all hell broke loose immediately after that. In politics, dear Jesse Duarte and Mike Hastie, I will not renew my ANC membership. The party is no longer fit to govern. The secretary, Gabby Shapiro, branch of the ANC, said, I write in great pain. I ask this letter to be made known to members of my branch and the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. I'm 86 years old. It is possible that I'm the only person surviving who addressed the Congress of the People on the 26th of June, 1955. In fact, I was speaking when the gathering was interrupted by the police. As the years passed, I realized the honor bestowed upon me, and now I see this matter as an imposing a grave duty. I have to speak out, even if my voice is but a whisper in the thunder of the history of the African National Congress. I will not renew my ANC membership. The ANC is no longer fit to govern or worthy of my support, exiguous as it has been. I no longer wish to be a member. My contribution to the struggle has been small compared to those whom I respect beyond words. There are many men and women who recognized me and honored me and called me comrade. But however trivial my role was, it was consistent of the long standing. The African National Congress appears to regard the glorious triumphant history as a reason for it to continue to govern in its current state and conduct its dishonoring and defiling of the history. Ooh, this is a harsh one. The open letter written, of course, in light of what Gabby Shapiro says, it's just not going to fly anymore. Oh, Mervyn Benham, actually, from the Gabby Shapiro branch, officially writing to say no more. And I wonder if this could be the first of many we get in such open letters from people who actively participated in fighting for the things that we sometimes take for granted in this day and age. Yet, when all chips are down, people are still entitled to have a good look at what it is that they want to be associated with and how they plan on actually rectifying the things that bother them, the things that concern them, and the things that they feel that do not belong in their circle anymore. Lhoza Lwazi is arguably one of the biggest political opponents facing Orania right now. The town, founded as a whites-only enclave 3 decades ago, only allows Afrikaners to live and work there, and the Gauteng ANC's new chairperson has renewed his hostilities. Orania is a self-governing community with roughly 2,500 residents. Its existence has always been a controversial one, but now the townspeople live in a relatively crime-free environment that has grown continuously since the 1990s. Many have come to accept Orania for what it is. However, Lhoza Lwazi is not prepared to tolerate the settlement any longer. After winning a regional ANC election over the weekend, he got to work on his agenda set out for the new role. Despite Orania being located in the Northern Cape, Lwazi feels that this matter is relevant to Gauteng. He is ultimately frustrated that it works like a country within a country, bemoaning the fact that Orania operates with its own flag, school, curriculum, and currency. He also put AfriForum and Freedom Front Plus in the same category, claiming that they are all mindless racists. Jeez, tell us how you really feel, Lhoza. His comments are likely to cause significant backlash, and as a result of the recent SABC interview, Orania is once again at the top of the trending list on Twitter. The debate rages on, but Mr. Lwazi is unwavering in his staunch opposition. There are organizations that represent a certain race and certain language which won't be tolerated. They open Orania where you can only live there if you speak that language. Sorry, but not in our country. They have their flag, their schools, their own currency. They are a country within a country. This should never happen. I hate all forms of racism, and racists are mindless and useless. They should never be tolerated, said Lhoza Lwazi. What are your thoughts? News came in yesterday. Robert Kelly, popularly known as the Pied Piper or Kells, has been sentenced to 30 years in prison by a federal court. The singer, who is 55 years old, was handed this term in New York for masterminding a scheme to entice and sexually exploit young aspiring singers and underage children. From the 90s, superstar Kelly was branded as the Pied Piper of R&B. At the U.S. District Court in the city, he was faced with several of his victims who detailed his deplorable and inexplicable abuse during victim impact sentences ahead of his sentencing on Wednesday. Kelly's sentencing follows his conviction last year by a jury on multiple counts of racketeering relating to bribery and forced labor. The musician's real name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, was also found to have violated anti-sex trafficking laws, the Mann Act. Sentencing Judge Ann Donnelly said Kelly had used his minions to lure young fans into your orbit. The singer, who denied all charges, was found guilty on all 9 counts after a 6-week trial in Brooklyn. Dressed in a gray prison issue uniform, Kelly did not appear to react as his sentence was passed. 7 women gave victim statements before the sentence, and who details Kelly's godlike complex and said he used to fame and power to entice their prey. A woman with a pseudonym Angela told him the Pied Piper of R&B, both in music and in techniques and in approach. Yikes. That's not gonna be nice, Kelly. Finally, and further afield in Africa, this beautiful continent, the Ghanaian police arrested 29 people on Tuesday after dispersing a violent anti-expense protest in Accra with tear gas, according to a new report. Hundreds of demonstrators had been marching in the streets in the capital since the morning, holding up the placards reading, "Mr. President, where did we go wrong? And the high cost of living will kill us." In the middle of the afternoon, about 100 demonstrators tried to deviate from the official route of the demonstration. They were stopped by a blockade of dozens of police officers on whom they threw projectiles. The police responded by using tear gas to disperse the crowd. What a shame. We were trying to protect you and ensure your safety, but you throw stones at us, the police wrote in Twitter. And all hell broke loose. The coronavirus pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine have pushed inflation to more than 27% in this month, the highest level in nearly 2 decades in the West African country. They say we are suffering, Baba Musa said, a mobile phone repairman who joined the protest. We can't afford 3 meals a day. The price of transport and food are too high. Many opposition figures were present at the demonstrations organized by a lobby group called Arise Ghana. On that note, we conclude our moments in current affairs. 22 now before 10 a.m. on the 30th of June in the year of our Lord, 2022. Good morning, and if you've just joined us, welcome. You might be running a little bit late, but you're still here to catch the 9 to 12. And your soft landing is upon you.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.